Hello, I'm Reggie Young. I'm here with Vince. Vince, if you could take a quick second and explain a little bit about who you are and how you got started.
Yeah, first of all, Reggie, I want to thank you for having me on your podcast. It's a pleasure for me. And yeah, about myself, yeah, my name is Vincenzo, and I'm the founder and CEO of Ecom, which is a full Amazon brand management agency located in London, UK. And if you want, maybe I can go a little bit further in my background so your listeners can learn more about that. So yeah, a little bit about my background very quickly. So I come from engineering background. I studied aerospace engineering, and the reason why I fell into the e-commerce space and business space is because I come from a family background, and my family always had businesses. And basically, from my side, when I started my engineering career, everything was going well up to the point that I realized that I couldn't, decide how many days I could stay home, how much money I could do, where could I travel, and basically that started my curiosity in terms of doing something on the side. And after doing some research during those years, Amazon FBA came up in my research, and that's where basically I started selling products. I did my own brand, and over time, after going to different events and connecting with people, I found the gap in the market that basically there was a need for agencies to take this business more professionally in the sense that there are a lot of brands out there that struggling that really need a professional team to help them scale on Amazon. And that's where it came to fruition. And that's what we do now. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. And how long have you been running Ecomcy?
So right now it's been 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
three
we
years.
started almost prior before the whole COVID thing exploded.
Yeah, yeah. And what would you say are like when a client first comes to you? What would you say is probably one of the most like common issues that they are struggling with or don't realize, it could be a problem in their business?
Yeah, so I would say number one problem most of the brands they face when they reach out to us is scale. So what happens with Amazon is that a lot of people usually in the Amazon ecosystem is a one man show, right? So a one person show. So basically they do everything. They do the PPC, they do listings and everything, which at the beginning is fine if you are talking one to products, but realistically a lot of people they come to us because they are already in the figures all the way to seven figures, early seven figures, and they're struggling to understand how to go from one person team to actually having people in place to, do their PPC, some people doing the customer service, some people to take care of inventory management. And, at the end of the day, the more you start growing in terms of revenue, that means more headache and more tasks to do on a daily basis. And that's where usually they find a good fit with us as an agency because we come in as a full team and help you during those steps. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I think the moment I started hiring some VAs to help me scale out, I felt like I definitely was able to move faster,
Hmm.
but I had such a literally like a period of at least 6 months, like failing, telling them to do something, and then I like either gave the wrong direction or they weren't ready for the task, and then they
Yeah.
made things worse. So sometimes like getting a VA, obviously, I think is very, very beneficial, but sometimes it's best just to legitimately hire an agency,
Mhm.
allow them to kind of scale out for you, and then you can practice building out these other systems because I feel like a lot of people, at least when it comes to like hiring an agency or not, we always kind of pivot between, oh, should I hire a virtual assistant or should I not? I
Yeah.
think that that business decision could be different for everyone, but if you already have like existing revenue, one of the biggest examples was one of the first clients I started helping.
Mhm.
I basically was like my own little they subcontracted me out to run their brand, and, so I was kind of that one man shop replacement. I had some oversight of their virtual assistants, and instead of them hiring an agency or hiring someone to kind of trying to, migrate accounts and they were moving inventory instead of just moving it in a certain way, they just dumped it all at once, and it legitimately, like, killed their brand. Multi-million brand,
Wow.
like, right down the drain, and they never actually truly recovered to where they were at before because, like, on Amazon, the way I like to explain it to people who don't know it is, like, I say ranking on Amazon is like being at the top of the hill. And the moment you stop your sales velocity, you're increasing sales velocity, that
You go down.
momentum, that gravity just comes down. So to come back up and pierce through all the new
Mhm.
competition, all the people trying to race up that hill can be very tough. Um, so I think definitely, if you already have existing cash flow, using an agency is more makes more of a sense than just maybe trying to kind of figure it out. Of course, if you have the capital and you can afford it, then having an agency is definitely beneficial. What would you say are like some of the ways in which an initial seller can scale, whether it's on Amazon or off of Amazon? Like what are like your common tips or strategies that you use?
Yeah. Yeah, so usually when brands come to us, the first thing that we do to identify how to scale them further is to do a full audit around the whole Amazon account. And most of the times we find gaps of things that they're not taking advantage of, right? So one of the first very simple checks that you would be surprised that seven figures brands are doing in terms of mistakes is that when you look at the listings are not fully optimized. They're leaving keywords on the table, phrases on the keywords. They are not indexing for certain keywords. And that's usually a very simple change. A couple of keywords, a couple of phrases there and here can make a huge difference to allow you to start showing on certain keyword, which five orders here, 10 extra order here. I mean, at the end of the month, it adds a lot of extra revenue that you didn't have before. So that's the first thing, fully analyze what they're doing with the listing and optimize it. The second thing for sure is PPC. I mean, PPC usually that's the first thing that we see also that can easily be scaled because we find a lot of brands also when they launch the PPC and they get into this mindset that PPC you do it properly once and then you just do small tweaks and they're very scared about trying new strategies and things like that. And most of the time we encounter a lot of keywords that could be easily be scaled, like targeting top placement or competitors that definitely on the report show that you keep stealing sales from them and they're not doing anything about that. They're not scaling the bids or the budget on those keywords and products. And that's an easy way as well to capture extra revenue for your brand and help you towards that um, road towards scaling the brand. So listing PPC, the third thing for sure, you will be exploring things within the Amazon ecosystem in terms of extra programs that Amazon brings to the table. So a lot of people, for example, especially in the US, as an example, right now you have tools that you use that are free. So just for example, Amazon Posts or Amazon Lives. And these are things that I know most people might think that are not important. It's a typical thing that people say, oh, branding is really not that important. What matters is pricing a product. But let me tell you that that's really not the case anymore in Amazon. We see how Amazon keep pushing towards the fact that they really care about branding. And you see that with extra benefits and extra features they keep releasing month after month under the brand register program. And that's another gold mine when we usually find when it comes to scaling brands. I mean, we see a lot of these extra features Amazon brands are not taking advantage within the Amazon account, and we had them explore them further. So I would say a combination of auditing what they've been doing and helping get into new programs is usually a quick way to start seeing some kind of growth in terms towards scale. Now, more down the line, which we can discuss if you want as well, is exploring for sure new markets and launching new products, which in the long term, realistically, after working with so many brands, is what we have seen that really can help you grow those numbers much faster. Because at the end of the day, you can optimize so much, right? Up to a point that even if you keep optimizing, maybe you improve 1% there, 2% there, but realistically, the big jumps is when you target new markets or launch new products. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love how you started with listing optimization, and it's single time I'm in like a big Facebook group like Helium 10, or and you see like a new person post and
Mm-hmm.
they're like, I need help, but don't tell me about listing optimization, and it's like,
Yeah,
I need
it's
help,
the
but don't
basics.
actually tell me. Yeah, don't actually tell me what I need, because they don't want to face that maybe that they have a crap product or their listing optimization actually sucks. And then I feel like there's like this echo chamber group chat that happens in response, and they're like, yeah, they basically kind of like hate on people who talk listing optimization, but it's so true. And I love that you started with that, because I also feel like that's
Foundation.
the
Yeah,
foundation, right? Everything bleeds into that. So like you talked about the listing optimization, once that's good to go, which comes down to really good keyword research, which comes
and
down to like,
images, and
yeah,
images.
images, understanding the
Mhm,
product, how it feeds into it, and then you
mhm,
go, well, what's the next level after that? Well, what's
mhm.
closest to the customer? You said
Yeah,
PPC. It's the same thing that I see. Everyone that I help, whether it's somebody that really knows Amazon or doesn't, I feel like most of us have a sub-optimized listing. Like a 90%,
yeah.
95% of listings I see out there, the ones that look super beautiful or super ugly,
Mm,
are missing one or two
Something.
keywords, back end, front end, something that they could use to optimize their listing. And I feel like listings can be is like a ever growing thing. Sometimes you want to
Yeah.
have a keyword early in your life cycle, later on in your life cycle, when you're
Mhm.
looking at new keywords. Then you talked about PPC. I can't tell you how many times I look at a client's account, and one I'm helping right now, exit for over 7 figures. I look at their account and they're legitimately like not even targeting their
All
main
over the
keyword.
place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all over the place, or it's just like all haphazard. And so having like someone step into your business and kind of take like a full holistic approach, right? I
Mhm.
think is super important. So I love that I think you're doing it, of course, in the right way from listing optimization. And then a step above that's PPC because you're closest to the customer. And then working,
Exploring.
exploring and then expanding elsewhere. And
Mhm.
it just kind of makes sense. And sometimes I feel like a lot of people who are trying to scale out, they just go to, I'm just going to launch another sales channel. But then
Mm.
you're taking a
Yeah.
sub-optimized listing, sub-optimized like USPs, and
Yeah.
then really failing at that as well.
Yeah, I think before doing any kind of scale, you first need to clean your house. So you need to understand that everything you're doing internally is first being fully optimized, at least to the best of your knowledge or whoever is the person working on it. Because I feel in the Amazon space, we have felt into this mentality that sometimes if a product is not working and we're not making sales because, oh, we don't know that gold nugget or that secret that it's just for 8-figure sellers. And you always think there's like a hidden secret somewhere, a secret hack, a secret to make you successful on Amazon. But in reality, it's all around foundation. I mean, if you do foundation right, those hacks that you see out there, like in those sometimes very exclusive masterminds, sometimes those hacks work for 3 months, 6 months, and then that's it. Hacks it become a common knowledge. So I would say if your business is all around hacks, realistically, you don't have a good product brand because if the product and the brand itself is good, you don't really need those hacks. And to have a good product brand, it's all around foundations, and that's why we focus around that from day one. And then, of course, if we understand that, you know what, we have done 80-90% of realistically the top performance we can achieve. Sometimes it's not worth it to spend extra time and resources to get realistic to 100% because most of the time it's really impossible to get 100% optimization. But you can use them once you feel comfortable that you have done everything in terms of listing and PPC to explore solutions around the Amazon space, such as Amazon Live, Amazon Post, understanding Amazon brand analytics, using that data to keep optimizing your listings and PPC. Then, for example, if you have used everything within the Amazon ecosystem of tools, for example, even Amazon buying for new products and things like that, then of course you can start thinking, okay, I have done everything possible within Amazon tool sets that they give me as a brand and as a seller. Let's then explore things such as external traffic, Google Ads, influencer marketing, blogging, all of
Mhm.
that. Because I feel if you think that jumping towards that is going to give you the solution straight away, most of the time that's not the case. Because as I said from the very beginning, if you don't do the basics first and you think that the solution is just having an influencer on TikTok feature your product, most likely it's not gonna be sustainable in the long term. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the example you gave of make sure you clean up your house first,
Yeah.
and how that impacts everything else. Because it would make better sense to clean up your house first before you have a welcome party,
Yeah,
right? Because
exactly.
then people are gonna be like, "Oh, I like this. Everything looks clean. Like, yeah,
Mhm.
I'm interested in buying," type of thing.
Mhm. Yeah.
So it just makes more sense to optimize the core conversion page before you
Mm.
send any other type of traffic there.
Yeah.
Uh, and what you talked about, Amazon Live and then Amazon Story posts, and I think that's another benefit of working with very specific agencies is they come with the all they it's on them because they're more aligned to know all the fine tips and tricks and unique ways to create leverage on Amazon because they're most incentivized to do it. Whereas like a new seller is like, oh, I already know. Yeah, I heard about that in like a podcast
Mhm.
or may have done that, but like an agency is going to know all of them and they're going to want to leverage every single
Mhm.
point of that. And when I think about Amazon Story Post specifically, it makes me think. I remember when it first came out, like I would eat, sleeping, and breathing Amazon. Like any new thing
Mhm.
that came out, I was
Yeah.
just trying to be on top of it, right? To get that edge. I made sure that I had really good listing optimization first. Um, but with Amazon Story Posts and all these new things that kind of come out, I think when they first come out, the terms of service around them are usually really undefined. And
Mhm.
um, it's over time you see like these sub requirements for, how you can name a coupon, for example. When
Mm,
coupons came out, like I was just naming it all kinds of
yeah.
things that I wasn't allowed
I
to
know.
do. And when Amazon Story Posts came out, I started making fake bestseller badges
Hmm.
uh, on the story post, so it actually looked like another product
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
bestseller tag, right? And one of them, when it first came out, I legitimately got 18,000 impressions or
Wow.
on one of them because I was like the first one to do it, and I just kept like posting it and posting it. I think one of the recent hacks I heard, I haven't been on the story post updates recently, but someone told me like, yes, you just come up with like a feed, 20 or 30 story posts, post them. And then when they start to die out, just repost them over again and just
Yeah,
continue.
yeah.
And Amazon will
That's a
refresh
good trick.
those things. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I never even knew about that. But like the great thing is when you're kind of really immersed in a platform and an agency specializes in it, they know all these things, regardless if you've had a successful product or not, if you've built a bigger business than them or not. They're in the weeds more than you probably
Mhm.
have been in the past. So I think it's one thing that people don't really consider when working with an agency. They think like, oh, it's a lot of money, and or it just might not work out, or I can do it by myself. But why not? If it makes sense financially, why not leverage an agency and then move faster in other areas, whether it's launching another product or doing the
Yeah.
next thing.
Yeah, well said. I think for sure that's the beauty of working with an agency because all these different things I'm mentioning, we have a sub team for each specific task I'm mentioning. So that means when you hire an agency, you basically get experts across all these areas at once. Which if you will try to hire a team on your behalf personally, it will be so expensive, right? To have like an expert on each thing, like an expert on PPC, an expert on listing, an expert on influencers, all of that. But with an agency, you get that all under the same roof. And then it's basically, yeah, like you go to a consultant place to everything, any single question you may have. If you work in an agency that do full management, that's the extra benefit because we basically do all those things for other clients. And after doing with hundreds of brands, it's like a automatic process for us.
Yeah, that's I think also a great thing is instead of trying to like go through and listen to another podcast, another
Yeah, I
live
know.
webinar that is running all the time, or it's just another sales pitch, right? You're
Yeah,
spending your opportunity costs. You may be buying another expensive course. Why
yeah.
not spend that money on an agency? Watch what they do in your business and take that as like your master class of what you
It's so,
should be
yeah,
doing on Amazon,
that's a
right?
good point. You learn from them because actually you're always involved with an agency. You have weekly calls and everything. So actually, it's a course, but with the support included. You see what I mean? So they're actually doing the work and you learn. So it's the best of both worlds.
Exactly, totally. And then maybe I want to try and give some specific advice. So I'm thinking, for initial
Mhm.
listing optimization, what's like the first go-to thing that actionable wise that you could probably give to the audience for listing optimization that could be pretty powerful for them.
Yeah, so I would say the number one thing that we've been using a lot lately and it's been working very well for us is like, for example, on the title, what we have done, especially with listings that are kind of in the scaling phase that you're trying to captivate as many keywords as possible to get on page one and all that. Something that's been working very efficient is that what we do now when we actually optimize listings for our title, which by the way, for everybody that's hearing this, the title is the most important thing when it comes to ranking and indexation. So whatever you put in there is actually what is going to drive the most weight for your listing. So after you understand that, what we have done is basically when you launch a product, most of the people, what they try to do is have the most competitive keywords and the one with the highest search volume on their title, which by using common sense is why you will think it will give you the best benefit. But on the other hand, what we have tried to do, and which is working very good for us to be efficient and cost effective in terms of scale, we try to identify keywords that not a lot of competitors are using in their title, right? And the reason why we try to do this is because we try to identify keywords that are very specific to your product, can be medium to long tail, that they have a respectable search volume. But then at the same time, we have discovered that your competition, because they're just too focused on the typical super high search volume keyword, they have forgotten about this. And this is what we call title density, right?
Right.
And you can use, for example, tools such as Healing Time to do this. You can research basically the top competitors, try to find which are the keywords with the less title density, and that means less competitors are using this in the title. And what does it mean? It means if you have these keywords in your in a phrase format, an exact match into your title, you're gonna rank on page one so easily because nobody else is using that keyword. And that
Mm,
for us during the initial weeks and months when we're really trying to scale those sales is very efficient because we start getting organic traffic very easily compared to just trying to compete with heavy PPC at the beginning on
mm,
the super saturated keywords. So that would be an actual thing you can do right now after listening to this. Analyze your competitors, try to use Healing 10 to analyze the top 10 competitors in the space, see which keywords with a respective search volume, is not repetitive across the top 10 competitor, maximum between 2 or 3 max. And those keywords are the ones you can find are not saturated and you should have in your title. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, excellent. I love that. And I think that's definitely a very, very common mistake that people do is main keyword, like, or what I call the super main keyword right
The
at the
main
very
ones.
front.
Yeah.
Everyone's
Yeah.
doing it and they're driving all that traffic and relevancy to there. And I like what you talked about. You identify kind of that maybe that middle tier or find opportunity, create a target, and then
Hmm.
follow that target. So um, I like that adjusting your title. And I would imagine from the PPC side, when you scale up to that, you're looking at those specific keywords, increasing those bids, maybe creating a separate campaign of keywords that are very highly associated with that maybe long form of that keyword
Yeah.
and bidding up from there.
Yeah, so when it comes to PPC, what we do, and a lot of people usually they recommend them when you're launching new campaigns, you should be launching phrase, broad, automatic, and so on. But over time, we have discovered that the best thing you can really realistically do is just start with exact match campaigns, and you want to target just the top 5 to 10 keywords. And the reason for that is very simple. Is because if you come from a product that is very new and has no history in the Amazon ecosystem, most likely Amazon has no clue about what your product is about or doesn't have in a way to give you relevancy link between your product and keywords. And in fact, a very easy way to test this is that when a listing is new, try to do an automatic campaign, and most likely you're gonna see phrase and broad campaigns, and you're gonna see that the suggested list is empty, right?
Mm.
Because they
Okay.
have no way to actually
Right.
suggest you what the price related about. But if you leave it after 1 month, you're gonna see the list start becoming more accurate and more accurate as suggested keywords. And the point here is that at the beginning, Amazon has no clue about what you're trying to do, and therefore it's gonna be very inefficient when it comes to targeting the right keywords. I will say if you're focusing on launch, do exact match on the 5-10 top keywords and try to make sure you also have those keywords, of course, on your title, and then try to keep track of how the organic rank is affected after, I would say, 14 days. And from there, if the organic ranking is achieved when it comes to getting to page one, then you select another 5 to 10 keywords and do the same exact match campaign keywords. And then I would say after 1 month, when you have seen that you have achieved a respectable organic ranking and that you are already on page 1 or 2 for those keywords, that's when I would really start trying automatic and phrase and broad. So that's been working a lot, very well for us, for most brands. And that's an advice I will tell you to do, because I know most trainings or videos tell you to actually try everything from day one. But no,
Yeah.
I would say usually the most efficient way I have seen from our brands is just do exact match. And then afterwards, once you gain some history, try the rest. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think with how expensive Amazon PPC has gotten in the last, couple of years, it's it's pretty expensive to F around and find out like what
Yeah.
works. It's just some most of
You
these
could do that
categories.
many years ago when the clicks were 20 cents, 15 cents,
Yeah.
but not enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's like you could do a whole nother product launch with it. So yeah, I like the one talking about identifying a target, maybe what people aren't going after, putting that in your listing, and then translating that to very focused PPC campaigns. And one thing that you talked about tracking and reporting, and when I was first starting out, even kind of to this day on smaller brands, I don't do the best tracking and reporting. I do have a VA that will come through and like put things on a sheet and
Hmm.
I can reference it, but it took me longer than it needed to for me to create like a scoring template and a system within this, and then being able to kind of analyze it. But the great thing about an agency is they have
Yeah.
to prove their worth, right? They have to prove like, hey,
That's
this is where
right.
we started, this is where we ended, so you
So we
get
give
the
you every single number. Yeah.
yeah, every single number, every single justification is to, hey, this is why this is the impact we've had, and here's how beneficial it is. And so I think again, another reason why the working with a tailored and targeted agency can be beneficial. You get the the, the wide reaching knowledge, you get the leverage points, you get the case study, you get the support, you get the tracking, all these different things. You try and do it
And
by
you get the
yourself.
reporting that most likely you will never do yourself because you're just lazy to do or you don't like numbers, and we must do it as an agency. So you
Mhm.
have full transparency on your business, which we know that most Amazon sellers sometimes don't even know how profitable they are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And
So,
it's something that I kind of struggle with like my little mini agency I have off to the side is I hate doing reporting.
yeah,
Like I
I know.
absolutely hate it. And it's something that I didn't like doing as an individual seller. I would just kind of like stare at some tools and then look
Yeah,
at a
yeah,
few KPIs and be like, okay, well, I'm increasing. Like I'm obviously doing well. I'm doing worse. Like my profit was this before, now it's this. But being able to track keyword position over time
I
and like,
know.
okay, I implemented this listing optimization on this date and it changed my
It's
conversion rate
lots
from
of
this
data.
percent to that percent.
Yeah.
So like having that more focused thing, it's only going to be helpful data moving forward. So now we talked about some quick tips for listing optimization and scaling on Amazon, right? Once we have a good listing, once we have maybe some focused PPC, what are things that you would recommend to someone to start scaling off of Amazon? What are some of your initial thoughts there?
So yeah, I would say once you fully take care of the listings, PPC, and everything within the Amazon ecosystem, and you have tried everything as I already mentioned, Amazon Live, podcast, Amazon Post, and so on. I would say the next stage for most of our brands is start looking for solutions outside of Amazon. The first solution that's been working very well for us is Google Ads, right?
Right.
So with Google Ads, basically, what you can do is, of course, it depends on on the product. For some product, it might not be the best fit running Google Ads. But for example, if you find keywords that, for example, let's say water bottle as an example, that the same keyword is going to cost you $4 per click on Amazon, and you find that that keyword, for example, on Google costs you $2, right? You could realistically try to drive the traffic instead of within Amazon from outside of Amazon, and then you can combine that with something, for example, such as the attribution link, right? And you get 10% back for driving the traffic outside of Amazon. And then if you start targeting specific keywords that are actually people using Google, such as best water bottle on Amazon, or top 10 water bottles, or things like that that people would type to make a buying decision around the product, and your ads start targeting those search terms, then you could realistically also drive people to Amazon that were think to find the product on Amazon in the first place. And those could be cheaper clicks. And if you use that with attribution, Amazon actually give you the 10%. And on top is very good for organic ranking. So that's the first solution.
Mm.
The second thing we've been doing a lot outside of Amazon is working with YouTube influencers. I know what has been the thing that people mention the most, TikTok, Instagram, and so on. But for us, actually, where we have found the most success with our brands is YouTube, because what we do with YouTube, first of all, it's so easy to find influencers that work with a Amazon influencer affiliate program. So what you will do, you will go to YouTube and you will put a top 10, again, water bottles, and then just the keyword Amazon. And then you'll find a series of YouTubers that everything they do about living is reviewing products on Amazon, comparing products,
Right.
doing a day trip with those products, and comparing against the competition. And what we do is very simple. We reach out to them. We try to basically come into an agreement where basically you will feature products in your video. You put your affiliate link on YouTube. So that means when people click on that, you get affiliate commission for
Mhm.
advertising a product. You get paid for featuring the product. You get the product for free. And the for benefit, which sometimes we do if influencers are very big, we say whatever Amazon gives you, we double it. So Amazon give you
Yeah.
3 or 5%, we give you double that. And then once you combine those four benefits, I mean, most of the time is, of course, you need to have a good person for doing the communication, and it's tedious because it's back and forth with influencers and so on. That's why we have people in the team that will do that for you. But that's been working very well for us because YouTube, I have found, and the reason why I discovered this in the first place, I introduced it to the team myself when I want to buy something, the first thing I do is go to YouTube and put unboxing this product or review of this product or top
Yeah,
10.
yeah.
And I do that a lot. And I thought, you know what? I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that will do this in YouTube. when making a purchase decision. And if you trust the influencers, such as I do in YouTube, for example, I'm a tech savvy, right? I like everything that's to do with technology, and I follow a lot of people on YouTube that do tech reviews, like for monitors, PCs,
Right.
keyboards, whatever. And
That's
if they
my
mention like the best keyboard right now is this one, Razer one, I will go and take their advice. So that's the psychology behind that, right?
yeah.
So yeah, I would say combining Google Ads and YouTube is what we have seen the most moving the needle. Then if you want to explore other things, which we do with more premium brands, is like, for example, editorials. So we basically get
Mm.
you in within big editorials that have a big following. So they feature your product, put you an article within their blog that they release on a weekly basis to talk about your product and why it's beneficial. We also sometimes get you in contact with companies similar to editorial that will do newsletter blasts, like for promotions and things like that. I will get you into that. And the final thing, which is what I just mentioned at the beginning that everybody's doing, is Instagram and TikTok. The thing with Instagram and TikTok, I would say is that, at least from my experience, it will work the best if it's a product that's very impulse buy, right?
Right.
It's a product like a $20, $30 product that you will say on TikTok, it's, oh, I need it, and you buy it. Because usually people, when it's scrolling on Instagram and TikTok, um, if they're not gonna make an instant purchase and go from Instagram or TikTok to Amazon if it's a product 50, 70, $100, and they need to think more about that and so on. So I would say the effect diminish as the products start being more expensive. But if you're priced on the $20 mark and it's very trendy, like a typical product that can go viral, it can be very powerful as well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. I definitely resonate with what you said on TikTok. It has
Mm.
to be more of a TikTok
It's a
interest
decision.
capture their
Yeah.
attention, like low friction type of purchase. I love the YouTube um, outreach as a portion of scaling, and I think for me, literally it's the same thing. Google Ads and YouTube are probably the next best things to be looking at because YouTube it'll stay around for longer and it's part of the customer life cycle like research
Hmm.
journey, right? Like the doing more research on what's the top 10, this one versus that one, and you capture
Hmm.
that both on Google Ads, so understanding how Google Ads work because they're different than Amazon ads, and but
Yeah.
knowing all the fine-tuned things like now we can track attribution, now you have brand referral bonus, so like you're
Yeah.
saving money there and you're bringing more optimization there. And you talk about reaching out to people on YouTube. Well,
Mm-hmm.
that's a whole nother thing, right? Now you got to go and do all the research,
Hmm.
contact them, put them on a sheet, send an email, send it multiple times, negotiate. And then when you negotiate, I like the points of differentiation you gave for negotiation. I never thought of offering them double whatever Amazon gives as an affiliate. So I'm definitely going to be adding that to my like
Yeah.
deck, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
One thing that's worked out really well for me is I'll say I literally try and hit them with everything.
Hmm.
And right now the stack is something along the lines of whether it's an affiliate or not, I'll give them unique coupon codes. I'll give them three or four, like depending on the influencer. So that's a whole nother thing. So I'm like
Hmm.
racking, stacking influencers, small, medium, large, audience
Hmm.
size. I'm trying to identify if they have additional social media channels
Yeah.
that they can then push out to on a newsletter or a restore, like reshare on the story if they have anything like that. So I got to do all that type of research and then go identify the pitch for each one. Am I going to pay this one $5,000 or
Hmm.
$1,000 or just a free product? And so I'm spending all this time doing that.
Hmm.
And then you could be doing the exact same thing, but then forget about doubling their commission, which could be the thing that creates that conversion for them or what they're willing to do. My
Yeah.
two favorite things that I really like kind of doing is saying, depending on the influencer, is I'll say, to try and hook them in, I'll say what we'll do if they're like a really good influencer. Sometimes I try and do that early on. So like when I'm in the sourcing phase as part of like my quote unquote launch, but I will have them create like the unboxing that I'll then use and I'll say, hey, I'll put this as the video on Amazon
Hmm.
or put that as the
Yeah.
post purchase um, email follow up and all customers who subscribe in will see your video. So I'll drive that traffic right back to it. Years ago, Amazon had its own thing where you could get people to watch videos on their platform. So I would do that. I would literally reach out to influencers and I say, "Hey, I guarantee you, at
Yeah.
X amount of like views or whatnot." And it probably hurt their channel because because the views were short. They're less than 1 minute, right? So they weren't watching
Yeah.
the 10 minutes. But like finding all these unique leverage points on Amazon to create that
Yeah.
conversion. One of them being driving traffic back to it. But one thing I really like doing is saying, creating some kind of offer like, hey, if I pay you this much or I give you X, will you put my product in your YouTube description template for the next 5 videos or on
Yeah.
this video, which could be the one that's very specific. Because sometimes we find these videos and they did like 500K views,
Mm-hmm.
but that's like the one video that you want that's part of like that research journey. Well, they can't go back and refilm that video, but what they can do is go to the description stack and edit it there, and then you can try and get more affiliate income from there
Yeah.
as well. I did some
Yeah.
tricks there.
Yeah, I mean, there are many tricks. I mean, one case I can think on top of my head, just to give you another example, we had this makeup brand that they were looking for influencers in the makeup space. And we found this influencer that was kind of big. They had a big community. And basically, we found out that she was in the process of doing like a course to show you how to do makeup and everything. And what the brand proposed her to do, and she accepted, is we will sponsor everything, all the costs for doing your training for makeup, with the exclusivity that during all the training you use only our makeup or brand during the training. You see?
Oh
And
yeah.
then she accepted, and from that on, I mean, all their students start buying the products of this brand. And on top of that, because she was so happy with with the brand, then she became like the face and the ambassador of the brand, right?
Mhm.
And then it went from very simple relationship to now a huge relationship with the brand. So this is simple examples how you can think outside the box and make leverage these relationships. And just to add something else, because I always like to give some extra tips. I know a lot of people always talk about Google Ads and so on, but something we have also tested and is even cheaper than Google Ads, and people sometimes don't even think about that, is Bing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So we have done that as well, and it's very good because usually you need to consider that all the window devices out there, the default browser is Bing, right? And basically, a lot of people, usually over 40 and 50s, they don't really care about Chrome and all of that. They just use whatever just comes in the device. And if your product is within that bracket, like people over 40, 50, and you target Bing for specific keywords to drive people to Amazon, we have found even cheaper results than using
Mhm.
Google Ads. So if that's your case, give it a try. And it's something a lot of people don't mention. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I love that as well because it makes sense. Like you already did the keyword research off, you probably just copy and paste, similar campaign structures. Maybe take 20 or 30% of your budget and leave
Mm-hmm.
that thing, just let it run. And even if it's like not doing that well, it's something I do in the once, whether it's like during launch phase or after, is I always have a small drip feed for every single product from different places going straight to Amazon to try to create
Mm-hmm.
portal traffic and just send some positive signals over time. And who knows what will happen. Sometimes,
Yeah.
and to be honest, for a long time I didn't even track it, and I know I can track it now. And on some products, I'm not even tracking it. I don't even care for some products. I'm
Yeah.
literally just sending blind
Traffic is
traffic.
traffic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
traffic is traffic. And if I know it's coming from, if I know if I'm showing up at a very specific time on a targeted keyword, and I know that keyword is either my main keyword or that target keyword, then it just makes sense to, yes, I would love to capture that traffic. Um, so I think we going over some really great points here, some actionable tips for people who are looking to scale on Amazon, off of Amazon. Talked about when it would make sense, and the benefits of using an agency, and it's because of all those points of leverage that an agency knows that sometimes an individual seller
Yeah.
doesn't, and being able to kind of leverage that as a case study or as your education, instead of spending a lot of opportunity cost and time either
Yeah.
failing or spending that time to try and get it right. Um,
That's right.
so with that, I would like to thank you for coming on the podcast. If you have any last thoughts and how we can, if people are interested in working with you, how they can get in
Mhm.
touch.
Sure. So if you want to reach out to us, I'm pretty sure we're gonna have a special promotion for you guys. So we're gonna make sure to put it down in the description. But basically, if you want to find us very easily, you put Ecoms in all social media platforms or even LinkedIn. You're gonna find us. Myself, you can find me Vincenzo Toscano. I'm also very active in all social media platforms. And if you are looking to get in contact with us, I'm pretty sure Reggie is going to put the link down below. And we're more than happy to give you exclusive, which I'm just going to announce now, exclusive 15% discount for everybody that comes using this link. So that means anything that you do with us, we're going to give you the exclusivity 15%. Yeah.
Excellent. Sweet. Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. Really, really appreciate that. Anyone listening, I do have courses inside of the Vault. that kind of deep dive some of these topics. If you feel like now's not the right time to be working with an agency and you want to scale into that,
Yep.
um, I have a bunch of courses for each one of these topics, and I just unlocked the free trial on my Vault, so now I have a free trial offering for everyone out there. And if for some reason you're still not ready for a free trial, I recommend downloading the free pop up on my site, and in there I'll be including a bunch of coupons for Amazon sellers, including the ones that we're mentioning here today. So thank you so much, Vince, for coming on the show. Thank you so much for dropping that knowledge, and we'll see you next time.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for the invite.
Take care.